fucking awesome.
Hello boys and girls, and I hope you're enjoying your Sunday. So I want to share a little story with you, a little adventure that I had to experience this beautiful Sunday morning. So what happened is last night I got home around 12:30, and on my phone I found a text message from my neighbor asking me if I could bring him to the airport on Sunday morning around 8 o'clock. And I said, sure, that's fine. I'll get up a little early and, I'll take you to the airport. So we are driving to the airport, and we were passing the bridge, the Vasca de Gamas, and he remembered he forgot his passport. He said, shit, I forgot my passport. So we're almost in Lisbon, right? Like just a few kilometers. So we had to turn around. But by that time, it was around 8:30, and his boarding time is 9:30. So we had like 1 hour to go all the way back to Setúbal, get the passport and drive back and check in and everything, which that's not going to work, right? So I said, listen, I will call my wife and ask her if she will get the passport from your home and meet us wherever she can, start driving towards Lisbon. And then somewhere we will meet and we'll get the passport. And so she did, and she drove, and we drove like fucking maniacs. Oh, forgot to tell you, my neighbor has a Tesla, and Teslas go woohoo very fast, especially when you were going really fast. Luckily, Sunday morning, hardly any traffic. You can do 200 easily, which we did. So, but we got back to Setúbal, a little bit in front of Setúbal. Found my wife. She gave Phil's passport. We drove back as a maniac, like a maniac, to the airport, and we got there about 9:15. So he only has 15 minutes left to, go into the terminal, go to security, and whatever. And go to the boarding gate and get into the plane. So it was very tight. So we decided, listen, we're just going to stop in front of the airport. You get out, because he was driving. You get out, and I'll go to the other side of the car, and I get into the driver's seat and just drive off, which should take no more than 3-4 seconds, right? So he did. He jumped out of the car. He ran off, and I got out of the passenger's seat and got into the driver's seat. So I wanted to drive off because a policeman was coming, of course, to the car, but the car didn't work. So on the display it said, you cannot drive this car because you don't have a key. So what happened was, in all this excitement, Phil forgot to give me the key, so he was running into the terminal with the key to the Tesla still in his pocket. And I I cannot move the car, of course. So this cop, he was kind of not being so friendly to me and told me to move the car, because of course it was very busy at the airport. So I called Phil. I said, dude, listen, you still have the key to the Tesla in your pocket. So where are you? He said, well, I'm in the terminal. I said, okay, I will run to the terminal. So, of course, the policeman, who didn't speak any English, I don't speak any Portuguese, I know, shame on me, he was yelling at me, told me to move the car, or well, at least I think that was what he was saying, and I ran away from the car, which made him even more furious. So I ran into the terminal, and I was looking around, my phone in my hand, Phil, where are you? And then I found him, so he gave me the key, I ran back to the car. And of course, traffic was piling up behind the car, people were honking the horns, the policeman, at that time, he was fucking mad at me. He was pissed off, But then, everybody was watching, because there's this Tesla parked in the middle of the road. There's a policeman screaming at me. All the traffic is honking behind me. Of course, that's going to attract a lot of people. So that was not one of my final moments to stand in the spotlight, you could say. But the adventure doesn't end there, because, just as I arrived to the Tesla and wanted to open it, the doors were locked, the Tesla automatically locked the doors. And I couldn't get the doors open. And, and I wasn't paying attention to the policeman, because I just wanted to get the fuck out of there, right? So he was pissed off because of my car, and he was mad because I was ignoring him. And then I couldn't open the doors. So I was standing there, fuck, all these people watching, the cop yelling at me, traffic honking behind me trying to open the door, which I couldn't. So it was kind of a fucked up moment, right? So I called Phil one more time. I said, dude, I cannot open the doors to the Tesla. How the fuck does this thing work, And he said, well, you have to push the button on the roof. Push the button on the roof, and I looked at the roof of the Tesla. There's no button on the roof of the Tesla. And I said, there's no button. He said, no, I mean the remote control. So the remote control of the Tesla, if you don't have a Tesla, the remote control of a Tesla looks like a miniature, whatever. Looks like a small car. It looks like a small car, right? And he said, you have to push the button on the roof. But there is no button. The roof is the button, basically. So I did that. I pushed the roof on the remote control shaped like a car, and then the doors opened, so I just wanted to get the hell out of there, right? But the police officer, he said, you cannot go. In Portuguese, at least I think it sounded something like, you cannot go, because he didn't want me to go. So we were just standing there, he was yelling at me in Portuguese, and I was, feeling like an idiot, of course, and everybody was watching, so it was quite a spectacle, actually. And then he said something about cameras and documentas, and I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about, so I just gave him my driver's license, which luckily I had on me, and he looked at my driver's license, and of course he didn't know what we could do about the situation either, so I think he told me to get the fuck out of there. So which I did. I got into my car, and I just drove off, which was, you know, a great way to start my Sunday morning, actually. But I learned a couple of things. The first thing I learned is I have to learn Portuguese. The second thing I learned is that Portuguese policemen at the airport don't speak English. I also learned how to open the door to a Tesla. And I also learned from Phil afterwards that you don't need a passport or an ID card if you want to fly a plane. If you want to board your plane, I mean. Because if you just have a picture of it on the phone, apparently that's more than enough. So that was kind of an inspirational, adventurous and educational morning for me. This was my short story. Hope you liked it and enjoy your Sunday. Much love. Bye-bye.